All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into the world of ashwagandha.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of this
I
stuff?
have heard of ashwagandha. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing from what I've read so far.
Yeah.
I've got this text in Portuguese,
Okay.
and it's got all kinds of insights about it. It's also called Indian ginseng,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been used in traditional medicine for ever, it seems like,
Yeah.
for a
Well,
very long time.
but what's really cool is that now there's scientific research,
Right.
like
Yeah.
backing up its traditional uses. So, if you're feeling stressed
Yeah.
or if you're struggling with focus,
Mm-hmm.
ashwagandha might be the natural solution for you.
It could be. It
Yeah.
could be. It's really fascinating because it's an adaptogen.
Oh.
Have you heard of adaptogens?
I've heard of them, but I don't really know what they are.
Okay, so basically it helps your body
Okay.
handle stress
Okay.
more effectively.
Yeah.
So it's like a buffer.
Okay, got it. So like built-in stress management. Exactly, exactly. And one of the key ways it does this is by regulating cortisol. Cortisol is that stress hormone that can leave you feeling wired but tired.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And studies have shown that ashwagandha can actually reduce cortisol levels by up to 30%.
Wow, 30%. That's a lot. So
Yeah.
that's going to make a noticeable difference, right?
Yeah.
Does that tie into like better sleep and stuff too?
It does, yeah. Because lower cortisol levels help regulate your circadian rhythm,
Okay.
which is like your body's natural sleep-wake cycle.
Okay.
Your internal clock
Oh, well, okay.
that tells you when to wind down and when to wake up.
Okay.
So by keeping that clock running smoothly, ashwagandha can contribute to better sleep.
So less stress and better sleep.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
2 for 1.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm curious about like the brain boosting effects too. I've heard it can like sharpen your mind, help you focus better. What have you found?
Yeah, there's been a lot of promising research
Yeah.
looking at ashwagandha's role in enhancing cognitive function. And basically what it does is it stimulates the production of acetylcholine,
Okay.
which is a neurotransmitter that's really vital for memory and learning.
Oh, wow.
So it helps your brain cells basically communicate
Okay.
more effectively.
So it's not just about feeling calmer, but like actually helping your brain work better.
Exactly. Yeah, and this can benefit everyone from students to professionals to, just anyone really.
Yeah.
Who's looking to sharpen their mental edge. And there's even research going on right now looking at its potential to protect against like age-related cognitive decline
Oh, wow.
and even neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's.
So potential long-term brain health benefits as well.
Potentially, yeah.
That's amazing. This herb is like a multitasker.
It is. It really is. And and we can't forget about its effects on physical performance too.
Okay.
Like ashwagandha.
Yeah.
It's been shown to actually enhance muscle strength
Okay.
and endurance. There was one study, they found that the participants who supplemented with ashwagandha saw a 20% increase in muscle strength.
20%? That's
Huge
yeah.
compared to like a control group.
So if you're hitting the gym, this is good news.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's all about like boosting energy production at like the cellular level. And it helps with muscle recovery too.
So less fatigue and better results.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
Sign me up. Okay, so we've got stress, sleep, brain power, muscles. What about the immune system? Does it do anything there?
Yeah, it's been shown to boost the immune system,
Yeah.
specifically can increase white blood cell count,
Okay.
which are, your body's defense
Yeah.
against infection. And it also has anti-inflammatory effects,
Okay.
which can be really helpful for people who have chronic inflammatory conditions.
So is there anything else we should know about in this first part of our deep dive?
Well, we could talk about its role as a general tonic.
Okay.
Ashwagandha can combat fatigue and revitalize energy levels. And that's really important for people who are dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome, where that lack of energy can be debilitating.
So it's not just about addressing like specific issues, but also just boosting your overall vitality.
Exactly, yeah. And speaking of vitality, ashwagandha can also play a role in hormone balance,
Okay.
which is especially helpful for women going through menopause.
Interesting. My mom's actually going through menopause right now.
Oh, yeah.
And she's been dealing with hot flashes and mood swings and stuff. Could this help with that?
It's possible, yeah. It's been shown to regulate hormone levels.
Wow. Okay, so this herb really does touch on like every aspect of well-being, it seems like.
It really does. It's pretty amazing.
Before we move on to part 2, remind me, what was it that was in that Portuguese text that we were talking about earlier?
Oh, right. The text you gave me delves into ashwagandha's impact on cardiovascular health.
Oh, okay. Heart health.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
It is, yeah.
Tell me more.
So we're back. We're talking all things ashwagandha. And we've uncovered some amazing benefits so far, from stress relief to brain power to heart health. It's amazing.
I know, I'm really impressed. It's like a wonder herb. But I'm curious about how to actually use this stuff.
Yeah, how to actually incorporate it.
Yeah, like what are the different forms? How much should I take? Where do I even start?
That's a great question. So let's start with the forms. You've got capsules, tablets, powders, teas, you name it.
I've even seen gummies. It's kind of overwhelming.
I know. But each form has its own advantages. Like capsules and tablets are super convenient. They're pre-dosed. You just pop one and go.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing the powder is more versatile.
Exactly. The powder is super versatile. You can add it to smoothies. You can put it in your oatmeal.
Really?
Mhm.
Interesting. Have you ever cooked with it?
I haven't personally, but I've heard of people adding it to soups and stews, even baking with it.
Wow. That's cool. I might have to try that. So many options.
Yeah. So it depends what you're looking for.
Okay. So how do I know like which form is best for me?
It really comes down to your lifestyle and preference. Like if you're always on the go, capsules or tablets might be the easiest.
Yeah.
But if you like to experiment
Yeah.
in the kitchen, then powder might be your thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much should I be taking? Like what's the right dosage?
That's where it gets a little bit tricky. It really depends
Okay.
on a lot of things. The form that you're using,
Mhm.
the concentration of the active compounds,
Okay.
your health goals,
Mm-hmm.
even your body weight.
Okay. No one-size-fits-all answer then. Is
Yep.
there like a general guideline?
Yeah, for most adults,
Okay.
a daily dose of like 300 to 600 milligrams
Okay.
of standardized ashwagandha extract that's considered safe and effective.
Okay, what is a standardized extract? I see that on labels, but
Oh, good question.
what does that mean?
So it means that the supplement has been tested
Mm.
to ensure it's got a consistent level of active compound.
Okay, and what are those in ashwagandha?
They're called withanolides.
Withanolides?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that are responsible for all the benefits.
Exactly. Yeah, they're like the stars of the show.
Okay.
When it comes to all those stress busting and brain boosting and immune supporting properties.
Okay, so there are different kinds of those withanolides.
Mm-hmm. There are actually, yeah, each with their own unique effects.
Wow.
But having that standardized extract makes sure that you're getting a good dose.
Okay, so we should look for standardized extract on the label.
Yeah, that's a good indicator.
Okay. And there's a lot of different brands out there.
Yeah, there are a lot.
How do you know which ones are good, which ones to avoid?
Right. Well, not all ashwagandha supplements are made equal.
Okay.
So you really want to look for brands that are reputable and transparent about like their sourcing and manufacturing practices.
Okay, so look for certifications, third-party testing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because that shows
Okay.
that they're committed to quality.
Okay. Yeah, but high quality could be expensive.
Oh, for sure.
Any tips for like balancing quality and affordability?
Yeah. I am comparing prices online and at different stores. That can be helpful.
Yeah.
And you can also think about buying in bulk.
Oh, yeah, that's smart.
If you find a brand that you really like, often that can save you money.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so different forms, dosage, quality, anything else we should be aware of before we start taking this stuff?
Yeah. Potential side effects?
Oh, right. Okay.
Mm.
Is it generally safe for everyone?
It's generally well tolerated, but everybody's different.
Mhm.
So what works for one person
Right.
might not work for another, and some people might experience some mild side effects.
Like what? What kind of things?
The most common ones are like mild digestive upset, maybe some drowsiness, headaches, but those usually go away once your body adjusts.
So start low and slow.
Exactly. Start low and slow and pay attention
Okay.
to your body.
Good advice. And of course, talk to your doctor before starting any new supplement,
Yes, always.
especially if you have any health conditions
Yeah.
or taking any medication.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of the practical stuff now. Different forms, dosage, quality, potential side effects. Curious by how this fits into like a bigger picture of well-being.
Yeah, that's a good segue. That's exactly what we'll talk about in the last part.
Awesome. I can't wait. All right, so we're back and ready to wrap up our ashwagandha deep dive.
Sounds good.
We've learned a lot.
Yeah.
About its benefits, different forms, dosages, even how to find good quality supplements. But now I'm curious about how this all fits into like a bigger picture of well-being.
Yeah, well, ashwagandha really aligns well with a holistic approach to health.
Okay.
It's not just about taking a pill and expecting like instant results.
Right.
It's about working with your body to
Hmm.
create balance and vitality.
So it's more about supporting your body's natural healing abilities.
And exactly. It's about addressing the root causes of imbalance rather than just masking the symptoms.
Okay, I got it. So, like, how do we actually do that? How do we incorporate ashwagandha into this more holistic lifestyle?
Well, ashwagandha is a powerful tool, but it works best when you combine it with other healthy habits,
Okay, yeah. Like what?
like stress management techniques, for example,
Hmm.
meditation, yoga, spending time in nature.
Right. Stuff that naturally lowers cortisol levels.
Exactly. And, don't forget about the fundamentals. Good nutrition, exercise, sleep, these are all essential.
So it's like creating this synergy where different healthy habits, they all work together to enhance the benefits.
Yeah, exactly. It's about a lifestyle
Hmm.
that supports your overall well-being.
I like that. But let's be real for a second. Life gets in the way.
Oh, it does?
It's hard to stick to a perfect routine all the time.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who's like, I want to try ashwagandha, but I'm feeling a little overwhelmed by all this holistic stuff?
That's totally understandable. I would say start small
Okay.
and focus on consistency
Okay.
more than perfection.
Okay, so like pick one or two things that you can actually stick with.
Exactly. Like maybe it's adding ashwagandha to your smoothie in the morning or
Yeah.
committing to like 10 minutes of meditation each day.
Yeah.
Or even just making sure you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep.
Small changes that you can build on over time.
Exactly. And those small changes, when done consistently,
Hmm.
can have a big impact on your well-being.
So it's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up for yourself.
I love that. It takes the pressure off. So maybe ashwagandha can be a part of that journey for people
Yeah,
to better health.
I think so.
Well, this has been an awesome deep dive. We covered so much.
We did.
The science, the benefits, the practical tips. I feel like I've learned so much about this herb.
Me too. It's
All
a
right.
really fascinating herb.
Before we go, can we just recap the key takeaways?
Yeah.
Just so our listeners leaving with all the essentials.
Sure. So we learned that ashwagandha is an adaptogen. It can help manage stress, enhance cognitive function, boost physical performance, support the immune system. It can even contribute to heart health and hormone balance.
Yeah, and we talked about the different forms, capsules, tablets, powders.
Right.
Emphasized choosing standardized extracts for the best results.
Exactly. And we also talked about dosage, the importance of talking to your doctor, finding high-quality supplements.
Right, and how important it is to incorporate it into a holistic lifestyle.
That includes stress management, healthy eating, regular exercise, and good sleep.
That's all connected. Well, I think that about covers it. This has been such an interesting deep dive.
It has.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And to our listener, thanks for joining us on this ashwagandha adventure.
Yeah.
We hope you learned something new and maybe even feel inspired to explore the power of this amazing herb for yourself.
Yeah.
Your health is your greatest asset, so invest in it wisely, listen to your body, and never stop exploring the incredible power of nature. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and keep striving for optimal well-being. All right, so you send over a bunch of research on ashwagandha, and it seems like everybody's talking about it these days. So we're going to do a deep dive on this ancient herb and really try to figure out why there's so much buzz.
It's interesting, right? Because you think, oh, it's just an herb for stress, but it's actually way more nuanced than that.
Yeah. What are we looking at here? Like 8 key players in this plant.
Yeah, there are 8 major bioactive compounds in ashwagandha, and they all have these different mechanisms of action, but they kind of work synergistically together.
Okay, so less like a magic bullet and more like an orchestra.
Exactly. It's like a symphony of compounds working together.
I like that. Okay, so let's break it down. Let's start with what are these so-called key players and what are they doing?
So the first group is called withanolides, and these are like the rock stars of ashwagandha. They're the most well-studied compounds, and they're really the ones that are responsible for a lot of the stress and anxiety-reducing effects. And what's really fascinating is that withanolides are actually natural steroids.
Wait, steroids?
Yeah, so they have a similar structure to hormones. But they're naturally occurring in the plant, so they can interact directly with your nervous system to help reduce stress and anxiety.
So they're not like the bad,
the
synthetic steroids.
Right. They're not the kind that athletes get in trouble for.
Gotcha. Okay, so they're able to kind of tap into our stress response system.
Yeah, exactly.
Naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then we have alkaloids.
Okay.
And these compounds work synergistically with analytes to also target the nervous system and promote a sense of calm.
Okay, so double
Yeah.
the dose of calm.
Exactly. And alkaloids also have some pain-relieving properties, which is another reason why ashwagandha is so versatile.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just mental, it can also help with physical.
Yeah, it can address both mental and physical discomfort.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got?
So next we have saponins, and these are the compounds that are responsible for a lot of the immune boosting and skin health benefits of ashwagandha.
Okay.
And you've probably noticed saponins if you've ever used a product that foams up when you mix it with water.
Oh, yeah, it gets all bubbly.
Exactly. That's the saponin.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What else is in this plant?
So then we have flavonoids, and these are potent antioxidants.
Okay.
And they basically help protect your cells from damage caused by free radicals.
Oh, so it's good for aging then.
Yes, exactly. They can help protect against aging and also potentially reduce the risk of chronic diseases.
Okay, very cool.
And then we have phytosterols.
Okay.
And these are interesting because they actually have a similar structure to cholesterol,
Oh, wow.
but they can actually help manage cholesterol levels in the body.
Interesting. So it uses cholesterol to fight cholesterol.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
That's pretty wild. Okay.
And then in addition to phytosterols, we also have phenolic compounds, which act as another line of defense against oxidative stress. So they kind of work together with the flavonoids to further protect your cells.
It's like double protection.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a double layer of protection.
I like it.
And then we also have essential amino acids in ashwagandha, which
Okay.
are, of course, the building blocks for protein, but they're also really important for the production of neurotransmitters.
Oh, that's right. The brain chemicals.
Yeah, exactly. So ashwagandha can actually have an impact on things like mood, sleep, and focus because of its effects on neurotransmitters.
Wow. I'm learning so much.
It's really fascinating, right?
It is.
Like this one plant can have so many different effects on the body.
Okay, so we've got withanolides for stress alkaloids for calm and also pain relief. And then we've got saponins for immunity and skin health flavonoids and phenolic compounds for antioxidants, phytosterols for cholesterol, and essential amino acids for neurotransmitters.
You got it. Am I missing anything? You got them all, but we have one more group to talk about, and these are the adaptogenic compounds, and this is where ashwagandha really gets its reputation as a powerful stress buster.
Okay, I'm ready. Tell me about the adaptogens.
So adaptogens are these amazing compounds that basically help your body adapt to stress.
Okay.
They do this by balancing your hormonal and immune responses.
So how does that work?
So when we're stressed, our bodies go through this cascade of reactions that's controlled by what's called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, or HPA axis for short.
Okay.
And this is basically the control center for our stress response.
Yeah.
And adaptogens basically help to modulate the HPA axis, so they prevent it from going into overdrive, and they promote a sense of balance even when things are really hectic.
So they're like a buffer against the negative effects of stress.
Like, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And ashwagandha is particularly rich in these adaptogenic compounds,
That makes sense.
which is why it's so popular for managing stress and promoting overall well-being.
I'm starting to see why this is such a popular herb. This is all super fascinating. We've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to learn more about how these compounds actually translate into benefits. Like, what does this actually look like in the real world?
Important part. Right.
Right.
So that's what we're going to talk about in part 2 of this deep dive.
Okay, I can't wait.
It's going to be good.
All right, so we talk about all these different compounds in ashwagandha,
Mm-hmm.
like all the withanolides and the alkaloids and the adaptogens.
Right. Yeah.
But now I'm really curious to see how they actually, like, translate into real benefits. Like,
Yeah.
what does this actually do for people?
So let's connect the dots and talk about some of the tangible benefits.
Okay.
So one of the most well-known benefit of ashwagandha is its ability to help manage stress.
Right.
And this is where those adaptogenic compounds we were talking about really come into play.
Okay.
Studies have shown that ashwagandha can actually significantly reduce cortisol levels.
So it's not just like a feeling, it actually
Yeah.
changes your hormones.
Yeah, it's measurable. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So by lowering cortisol and balancing those stress responses, ashwagandha can also have a positive impact on other areas of health, like sleep, for example.
Oh, that makes sense. If you're less stressed, you're probably going to sleep better.
Exactly.
So this could be good for people with insomnia or
Yeah, absolutely.
just people who have trouble sleeping?
There's actually been a lot of research on this, and it's been shown to improve sleep quality so people fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer.
Wow, okay, so less stress, better sleep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What else?
Well, the research on ashwagandha's cognitive benefits is also really exciting.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
There's growing evidence that it can enhance memory, improve reaction time, and even boost focus and attention.
So it's like a brain booster.
Yeah, you could think of it that way.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. How does
Yeah.
it actually like work in the brain?
Well, it's not totally clear, but it seems to enhance communication between brain cells and improve overall cognitive function. So it's supporting your brain's ability to work at its best.
Okay.
And what's really fascinating is there's even some evidence that ashwagandha could play a role in protecting against age-related cognitive decline.
Whoa, okay.
So we're talking about potentially staying mentally sharper for longer.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Okay, so we've got stress, we've got sleep, we've got brain power.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Well, and remember those alkaloids we talked about.
Yeah.
Not only do they have calming properties, but they can also provide pain relief.
Oh, that's right.
So ashwagandha has traditionally been used to ease muscle aches, joint pain, and even headaches.
So if I'm feeling sore after a workout,
Yeah,
ashwagandha could help me recover.
it's definitely worth considering.
Okay, cool. And actually, speaking of physical activity,
Yeah.
I've heard that ashwagandha can also help with athletic performance.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that true?
There's some research that suggests that it can increase muscle strength and endurance and even speed up recovery time after exercise. So for athletes who are looking for a natural way to enhance their performance, ashwagandha could be a good option.
So it's like good for your brain, good for your body, good for stress, good for sleep, good for pain.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything this herb can't do?
Well, it's important to remember that everyone's body is different, right?
Right.
So what works for one person might not work for another.
Of course.
And it's always a good idea to talk to your doctor before adding any new supplement to your routine, especially if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, or taking other medications.
Okay.
Hmm.
Always good to be safe.
Yeah.
So we've got stress, sleep, brain power, pain relief, athletic performance. Is there anything else?
Oh, we can't forget about its immune-boosting properties.
Oh, that's right.
Those saponins that create that bubbly foam, they're known to actually enhance the activity of immune cells.
Oh, wow.
So it can help your body fight off infections more effectively.
So good for cold and flu season.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. Anything else? I feel like we've covered so much.
Well, there's even some preliminary research suggesting that ashwagandha could help regulate blood sugar levels.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So that could be good for people with diabetes.
Potentially.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Mm.
This is incredible. I mean, we barely scratched the surface here.
It's really remarkable how much research has been done on this ancient herb.
I know, it's almost overwhelming.
It is a lot of information.
Yeah.
But remember, the goal of this deep dive is to empower you with knowledge.
Right. Not to overwhelm me.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that you can make informed decisions about your own health and well-being.
I like that.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking, okay, great. Ashwagandha sounds amazing. I want to try it.
Yeah.
But how do I actually choose the right product?
Yeah.
And what about dosage? And are there any interactions I need to be aware of?
Yeah, that's really important. So that's actually what we're going to talk about in part 3.
Okay,
We're going to get into the practical side of things.
I can't wait. All right, so we've learned so much about ashwagandha, like what's in it and all the potential benefits. But
Yeah.
now I want to know, okay, how do I actually use this stuff?
Right. Let's talk about the practicalities.
Yeah, like I walk into a store and I see ashwagandha in like a million different forms.
Mm-hmm.
Powders, capsules, gummies, teas,
Right.
what do I do?
It can definitely be overwhelming,
Yeah.
but honestly, the best form really just depends on you,
Yeah.
like what you prefer and your lifestyle.
Okay.
So capsules are super convenient, easy to swallow.
Right.
Powders you can mix into smoothies or drinks.
Okay.
Gummies are tasty, but just be mindful of added sugars or artificial flavors, read those labels.
Yeah, good point.
It's always good to keep things as natural as possible.
For sure. Okay, so let's say I go with capsules.
Mm-hmm.
How much should I take?
That's a great question. Dosage is super important, and it can really vary
Yep.
depending on the product and your own individual needs.
Yeah.
So it's always best to start low and go slow.
Okay.
Pay attention to how your body responds.
Okay.
A typical starting dose is somewhere between 300 and 600 milligrams per day, usually split into 2 doses.
Got it. Start low, go slow.
Exactly.
But is it safe for everybody to take?
Well, ashwagandha is generally considered safe for most people.
Okay.
But like with any supplement, it's always best to check with your doctor first,
Right.
especially if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, or taking other medications.
Of course. Yeah.
There are a few specific situations where ashwagandha might not be appropriate.
Okay, like what?
So, for example, if you have an autoimmune condition,
Okay.
like lupus or rheumatoid arthritis,
Mm-hmm.
it's really important to talk to your doctor because ashwagandha could potentially exacerbate those symptoms.
Got it. So better safe than sorry.
Always.
Yeah, what about medications? Are there any interactions I should be aware of?
Yeah, there are a few. So ashwagandha can interact with things like sedatives, thyroid medications, and immunosuppressants.
Okay.
So if you're taking any medications regularly, definitely talk to your doctor before adding ashwagandha.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, this is all super helpful. I think it's good to remember that even though it's natural, it can still have some powerful effects.
Exactly. It's powerful stuff.
Yeah. So now that I know all this, how do I continue this research journey?
Well, I always recommend sticking to reputable sources of information.
Oh,
You know, scientific studies, articles from trusted health organizations, books by qualified herbalists or naturopathic doctors.
Okay, great advice.
Yeah, I think it's important to be discerning about where you get your information from.
For sure.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Well, I think what's really cool about ashwagandha is that it really represents a holistic approach to health and well-being. You know, it's not just about masking symptoms.
Yeah.
It's about really supporting your body's own ability to adapt and heal and thrive.
I like that. So it's really about empowering yourself to take control of your health.
Exactly. And as you continue exploring, you know, think about what aspects of your well-being are most important to you.
Yeah.
Is it stress management, sleep enhancement, cognitive function, physical performance, immune support? Like,
Right. What are your priorities?
exactly. What are your priorities and how can ashwagandha potentially help you achieve those goals?
I love that. Okay, so it sounds like we've reached the end of our ashwagandha deep dive.
We have.
And I gotta say, I'm walking away feeling a lot more knowledgeable and a lot less stressed.
Good. That's the goal.
Thanks for joining me on this journey.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, stay curious, stay informed, and keep those brains buzzing.
All right, so get this, listeners, you asked for it. A deep dive on sesame seeds, and we're delivering.
That's right. And focusing on their anti-aging properties should be a fascinating one.
It really should. To start us off, where do we find our information for this deep dive?
We dug into some recent scientific studies on sesame seeds, looked at traditional uses in different cultures, and even looked into the sustainability of sesame seed production.
So a pretty well-rounded view then. I like it. It sounds like we're ready to jump right in. What are some of the key things that make these tiny seeds so special, especially when it comes to aging?
Well, they're packed with two groups of compounds that have some pretty amazing effects: phenolic compounds and phytates. You'll find those in a bunch of plant-based foods, but sesame seeds are particularly rich in them.
Okay, so nothing too exotic or hard to find. I'm guessing most of us have a jar of sesame seeds in the pantry somewhere.
Probably. And yet, they contain these potent compounds most people don't even know about.
Right. Phenolic compounds and phytates, those sound pretty technical. Break it down for me. What exactly are they and how do they work their magic?
Sure. Imagine your body's cells are like constantly under attack from things like pollution, stress, just, I don't know, daily life, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, phenolic compounds are like a team of highly skilled bodyguards protecting those cells. They act as antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, you name it. They neutralize those threats and keep your cells healthy.
So like a cellular defense squad working behind the scenes to keep things running smoothly. I'm already intrigued. But what about phytates? Those are a bit more a mystery to me.
Phytates are interesting. They've gotten a bit of a bad rap because they can bind to certain minerals, making them a little harder for your body to absorb.
Oh, I've heard about that. Isn't that why some people say things like beans and grains can be anti-nutrients?
That's the idea some people have, yeah. But here's the cool part. New research is showing that phytates also have a ton of benefits. They can act as antioxidants, too. And there's evidence they might even help with things like cancer prevention and blood sugar control.
So it's like they have this dual nature, both guardian and trickster, huh?
Exactly. It's all about balance, like most things in nutrition.
Okay, I'm definitely curious to learn more about that. But for now, let's focus on those phenolic compounds. You mentioned they have a range of actions. What are some of the specific ways they benefit us, especially in sesame seeds?
Sesame seeds boast a variety of phenolic compounds, each with its own kind of specialty. For instance, they contain gallic acid, often found in grapes and tea.
Ah, so that's where those come from.
Exactly. And gallic acid, it's a real powerhouse antioxidant,
Indeed.
protecting your cells from damage.
Damage that can lead to chronic diseases, right?
Exactly.
So like a built-in shield against wear and tear. Pretty impressive.
Huh.
What else?
Well, there's ferulic acid, a lot in grains and bran. This one is especially good for your skin, protects it from UV rays.
That's probably why I see sesame oil in so many skincare products these days. Natural sun protection.
Exactly. And then you've got chlorogenic acid, which helps regulate blood sugar levels.
Okay, so that one's like a secret weapon for keeping my energy levels balanced.
You got it. And that's not even all the phenolic compounds sesame seeds contain. They're also flavonoids. They're like the all-star team in the phenolic compound world.
Okay, I'm ready for the all-stars. What can they do?
Let's see. You've got quercetin, fighting inflammation, hesperidin for a healthy heart, anthocyanins, those are good for your brain, and isoflavones for hormone balance.
Wow, so it's like they each have their own specific talent.
Precisely.
Wow, and is there anything else in sesame seeds besides those?
Can't forget about resveratrol.
Isn't that the compound people talk about with red wine and the French paradox? That the French have lower rates of heart disease even though they eat a lot of rich foods?
You got it. And resveratrol, they think that plays a key role in that.
Yeah.
It's good for your heart and might even help slow down aging.
Fascinating. I always wondered about that. So it's not just a buzzword. There's actually some science backing it up.
There is.
Cool. What else?
And then we have lignans, which are especially helpful for women's hormonal health.
So we've got the acids, the flavonoids, resveratrol, and lignans. That's a lot of phenolic power packed into these tiny seeds.
It really is. And remember, it's not just the individual compounds, but how they all work together that makes them so impactful.
So it's the synergy of all those compounds working together, like an orchestra maybe? Each instrument playing its part to create something beautiful?
I like that analogy. And speaking of things working together, you ready to tackle those phytates now?
Absolutely. Let's unravel that mystery.
So phytates, right. We know they can sometimes make it a bit harder for our bodies to absorb certain minerals.
Yeah, we talked about that, but I'm still kind of curious about how they can be beneficial, with that whole anti-nutrient thing.
Right. Well, it's kind of interesting, actually. There's been some recent research looking into phytates and bone health.
Oh, okay.
And it turns out they might actually help strengthen bones in the long run.
Wait, really? But I thought they make it harder to absorb calcium.
They can, initially, yeah. But there's this, paradoxical effect that's got researchers scratching their heads.
Okay, I'm officially intrigued. How does that work?
Well, one theory is that while phytates bind to calcium, they might also, at the same time, prevent calcium loss from your bones.
So they're kind of like playing both sides.
In a way, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like they're helping to regulate the whole calcium situation, making sure it ends up where it needs to be.
That's fascinating. Are there any other ways they act as guardians, like you said?
Oh, absolutely. Remember those free radicals we talked about earlier? The ones that can damage our cells.
Yeah, the troublemakers.
Right. Well, phytates are like antioxidants too, helping to neutralize those guys. And there's even been some links to a reduced risk of certain cancers and better blood sugar control.
Wow, so they're like multitaskers fighting on multiple fronts.
Exactly. They're like those superheroes with a secret identity.
I like that. So they're protecting our cells, maybe even our bones, and what else?
Oh, don't forget their prebiotic effects. They provide food for the good bacteria in our gut.
Right, the microbiome. That's so important for everything these days.
It really is. And a healthy gut microbiome, that can mean a stronger immune system, better digestion, maybe even a longer lifespan.
So phytates, they're not just protecting us directly, but also supporting the good guys inside us.
Exactly. It's like they're building up our defenses from the inside out.
This is really making me rethink that whole anti-nutrient label.
It's a good reminder that things aren't always so black and white when it comes to nutrition.
Definitely. There's so much we still don't know.
And that's where traditional food prep methods come in. Like, remember how we talked about soaking or fermenting sesame seeds?
Yeah, you mentioned that can help reduce the mineral binding effects.
Right, well, those techniques, they're like unlocking the full potential of these seeds.
Okay, how so?
Well, soaking activates enzymes that break down those phytates, making the minerals easier to absorb.
So it's like giving the seeds a head start on digestion.
Exactly. And fermenting, that takes it a step further. The bacteria involved, they break down even more phytates and might even boost the nutritional content.
It's incredible how those traditional practices were on to something, even without all the fancy science we have today.
It really is. It's like they just knew.
Speaking of traditional practices, sesame seeds are used in so many different cuisines around the world. Do you think those culinary traditions might have something to teach us about how to best use them?
I think there's a lot we can learn, for sure. Take tahini, for example.
The sesame seed paste.
Yeah, that's a staple in Middle Eastern and Mediterranean cuisine. And the grinding process, that actually helps break down cell walls, making the nutrients even more accessible.
So it's like another form of predigestion then.
Exactly. And then there's sesame oil, which is really popular in Asian cooking. That's a great source of those phenolic compounds and lignans we talked about.
It sounds like those culinary traditions, they're not just about flavor, but also about making the most of those nutritional benefits.
Exactly. It's like they figured out how to optimize both taste and health.
That's so cool. I love how food can be both delicious and good for you.
It's the best of both worlds.
Okay, so we've talked about all the good stuff in sesame seeds. But now I'm curious about something else. Sustainability. Is there anything we should be thinking about in terms of like the environmental impact of sesame seed production?
That's a really important question.
Hmm.
And, most sesame seeds, they're grown in developing countries.
So we need to make sure things are being done ethically and sustainably, right?
Absolutely. That means fair treatment for farmers and protecting the environment.
Definitely. Are there any organizations working on that?
Yeah, for sure. There's the Fair Trade Foundation, for example. They're doing great work to promote sustainable sesame seed production.
So if we see the fair trade label, that's a good sign.
Definitely. It means the farmers are committed to those ethical and sustainable practices we talked about.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the environmental impact, sesame plants are actually pretty drought tolerant.
That's good, right? Especially with water becoming such a precious resource.
It is. But, there are still potential concerns, like deforestation and loss of biodiversity, especially if sesame cultivation expands into new areas.
So it's important to know where our sesame seeds are coming from and how they're being grown.
Exactly. It's all about making informed choices.
This deep dive has been so eye-opening. I never realized how much there is to sesame seeds.
They really are fascinating, aren't they?
They are. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. But I think there's one big question we still need to address. That link between sesame seeds and longevity. What's the story there?
Okay, so we've learned a ton about sesame seeds. They're packed with good stuff, they're used all over the world, and they're even pretty sustainable if you know where to look.
But there was that one big question we still need to answer. You mentioned a link between sesame seeds and longevity.
Right. It's not like they're the fountain of youth or anything like
Well,
that.
of course not. But there's got to be something to those claims, right? What is it about them that makes people think they can help you live longer?
Well, it's really about healthy aging more than anything else. And sesame seeds, they have a lot of compounds that have been linked to that.
Okay, so what are these longevity-boosting compounds? Tell me everything.
A lot of it goes back to those antioxidants we talked about. Both the phenolic compounds and the phytates, they can help fight those free radicals.
Right, the ones that damage our cells and make us age faster.
Exactly. So by neutralizing them, those antioxidants are essentially slowing down the wear and tear on our bodies.
So it's like having a built-in defense system against aging.
That's a good way to put it.
Pretty cool. But is it just about preventing damage? Or can sesame seeds actually, reverse any of that aging?
Well, they do have some compounds that can support cellular repair and regeneration. Like, they're a good source of zinc, which is crucial for cell growth and division.
So they're not just protecting cells, they're actually helping them to renew themselves.
Right. And there are other compounds in sesame seeds that can help with collagen production. That's what keeps our skin elastic and young looking.
Ah, so that explains why sesame oil is so popular in skincare.
Makes sense, right?
It does. And what about those lignans we talked about earlier? Do they play a role in longevity too?
They could, yeah. Lignans can help balance hormones, which can become more important as we get older.
So it's like they're helping us age more gracefully, both inside and out.
Exactly. And don't forget about those prebiotic effects of phytates. A healthy gut is super important for overall health, and that includes healthy aging.
It's amazing how it all connects, isn't it? It's like sesame seeds are a tiny package of anti-aging superpowers.
I like the way you think. They're not a miracle cure, of course, but they definitely have a lot to offer.
That's for sure. Well, I think we've covered just about everything there is to know about sesame seeds, from their nutritional benefits to their cultural significance to their role in sustainable agriculture, and even their potential to help us age gracefully.
It's been a pretty comprehensive deep dive.
It has, and I gotta say, I'm really impressed with these little seeds. I know I'll be looking at them in a whole new light from now on.
I think that's the best takeaway from any deep dive, really, to come away with a fresh perspective and a new appreciation for the things we might take for granted.
Absolutely. Well said. And to our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us on this sesame seed adventure. We hope you learned something new, maybe got inspired to try some new recipes. Most importantly, that you'll keep those deep dive requests coming. Until next time, stay curious.
Hey, everyone, and welcome back. We're diving deep today into ashwagandha. All the buzz about it, right?
Yeah.
All the stuff about how it can, help your mind and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we found this piece. It's called Texto Colado. And was really interesting. Really gets into, all the benefits for your mind and stuff. Especially if you're someone who, like me, is always looking for ways to kind of sharpen their mental edge, get ahead of the game, all that.
For sure. Ashwagandha has a really long history. It's been used in traditional medicine for centuries. But now, modern science is actually starting to, understand why it's so powerful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to stress.
Oh, yeah, stress. Okay, so let's start there then. The article, it mentions that ashwagandha is an adaptogen. I've heard that term before, but to be honest, I thought it sounded kind of vague to me.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? What does it actually do?
Okay, so think of an adaptogen. It's your body's own personal assistant for dealing with stress. It basically helps your system stay, resilient. In the face of all that pressure, all the stuff that can, throw us off balance of everyday life,
So it's like a buffer.
Exactly.
Against the craziness.
Yeah.
I like that. But how does it actually, how does ashwagandha actually do that?
Right.
The piece mentions something about cortisol.
It does.
Right.
Cortisol is often called the stress hormone. And for good reason. When we're constantly under pressure, our cortisol levels, they can go crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Leading to, that feeling of being wired, but tired, anxious, can't sleep. Ashwagandha can help regulate those cortisol levels, bring things back into balance.
Like hitting the reset button.
Exactly.
On my stress.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes.
But the source also says that there's more to ashwagandha than just dealing with stress.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
There's something about cognitive enhancement, too.
There is.
And that's something I'm super curious about as, someone who's always trying to learn and grow.
Absolutely.
So what's the deal with that?
Texto Colado talks about how ashwagandha could actually help enhance brain function.
Okay.
And one of the key players here is this group of compounds called withanolides.
Withanolides. Okay, that's a new one for me. What are those?
So imagine your brain being able to form new connections more easily, creating new pathways for information to flow.
Okay.
That's what withanolides might be able to help with.
Interesting.
They seem to promote the regeneration of brain cells.
Wow.
Which is essential for learning, for memory, overall cognitive flexibility.
So we're talking about potentially rebuilding brain cells.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I know when I'm stressed or feeling burnt out, my memory is the first thing to go. Is that something ashwagandha can actually help with?
It's definitely an area of active research.
Okay.
And the initial findings are really promising.
Wow.
In addition to promoting cell regeneration, ashwagandha also has these potent antioxidant properties, meaning it can protect your brain cells from damage, from stress and other environmental factors.
So it's like giving your brain a shield against the wear and tear of daily life. I'm loving this. But let's talk about burnout for a second. I think that's something a lot of us can relate to.
For sure.
Texto Colado suggests that ashwagandha might be helpful for recovering from burnout, too. What's the connection there?
Okay, so burnout, it's often linked to chronic stress.
Yeah.
And HPA axis dysfunction.
Okay.
Remember the HPA axis, that system that controls our stress response.
Yeah, the stress thermostat.
Exactly. When we're constantly pushing ourselves, this thermostat can get stuck in the on position.
Oh, no.
Leading to a cascade of problems like fatigue, difficulty concentrating, even emotional exhaustion.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. So by helping to regulate the HPA axis, ashwagandha might actually help reset that stress thermostat and bring our system back into balance.
Precisely. And by addressing the root cause of burnout, that overactive stress response, ashwagandha might be able to help us regain that sense of energy, mental clarity, and overall well-being that burnout steals away.
Now, the source material also mentions that ashwagandha might have mood-boosting potential. What's the science behind that?
Ashwagandha appears to influence key neurotransmitters in the brain,
Okay.
like serotonin and dopamine, which play a crucial role in regulating mood, motivation, and feelings of pleasure. So by supporting healthy levels of these neurotransmitters, ashwagandha may offer some relief from those low moods and help foster a greater sense of emotional resilience.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away, are there any potential downsides to ashwagandha? Does the source material mention any side effects or things we should be aware of?
It's always crucial to consult with your healthcare provider before adding any new supplement to your routine, especially if you have pre-existing medical conditions or are taking medications. While Textocolato doesn't go into specific side effects, it does emphasize that ashwagandha has generally been well tolerated in studies. However, finding the right dosage is key, and it's always best to start low and gradually increase as needed, paying close attention to how your body responds.
Right. Safety first. Always a good reminder. But overall, it sounds like ashwagandha has a lot of potential benefits for supporting our mental well-being, especially in today's fast-paced world.
Absolutely. And what's particularly fascinating is that ashwagandha doesn't just mask the symptoms. It seems to address the root cause of many mental health challenges by regulating that stress response system.
This deep dive is already giving me so much to think about. Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. But let's take a closer look at those cognitive benefits, especially for those of us who are constantly learning and pushing our mental limits. I'm eager to hear more about what Textocolato has to say about that.
Let's do it. So when it comes to cognitive enhancement, the article really highlights those with analytes we talked about. They seem to play a key role in, promoting the growth and regeneration of brain cells.
Okay, so it's not just about protecting the brain cells we have. It's like
Yeah.
potentially creating new ones.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. But
Yeah.
what does that even mean for things like learning and memory? Like, how does that actually work?
Okay, so imagine your brain is like a vast network of roads and highways.
Okay.
The more connections you have, the easier it is for information to travel, to reach its destination. With phthalate might help create new pathways,
Wow.
making it easier for you to absorb new information, make connections between ideas, and remember what you've learned.
So it's like upgrading your brain's infrastructure,
Exactly.
making it more efficient and adaptable. That's a game changer for anyone who's passionate about learning. Textocolato also mentions something about reducing brain inflammation. How does that fit in?
So chronic inflammation can actually be really damaging to brain cells.
Really?
It's like having roadblocks and detours all over your brain's highway system, slowing down the flow of information.
Okay.
Ashwagandha's anti-inflammatory properties can help clear those roadblocks, allowing for smoother communication between brain cells.
So less inflammation equals better brain function.
Pretty much, yeah.
It all makes sense. I'm thinking about all those times I've felt like mentally sluggish.
Yeah.
Or struggled to focus. Could that be because of like chronic stress and overactive HPA axis?
It's definitely a possibility. When your stress response system is constantly on high alert, it diverts resources away from other functions, including cognitive processes. It's like your brain is too busy dealing with the perceived threat to focus on anything else.
And if ashwagandha can help regulate that stress response, could it actually improve focus and mental clarity?
That's what the research seems to suggest.
Wow.
By calming that overactive stress response and reducing inflammation, ashwagandha might create an environment that's more supportive for optimal cognitive function.
This is so interesting. But I also want to talk about the potential downsides.
Yeah.
Are there any risks or concerns we should be aware of when it comes to using ashwagandha for cognitive enhancement?
As we said before, it's always a good idea to talk to your healthcare provider before starting any new supplement.
Right.
Especially if you have pre-existing health conditions or if you're taking any medications.
Of course.
Dosage is also really important.
Yeah.
And it's best to start with a lower dose and gradually increase it, paying attention to how your body feels.
Good advice. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Before we move on, can we go back to the HPA axis for a second?
Sure.
I think it's worth spending a little more time on. It seems pretty important for understanding ashwagandha and how it affects both stress and brain function.
It is, yeah. The HPA axis, or hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. It's a complex system. It involves interactions between your brain and your endocrine system. It's basically the control center for your stress response.
So it's like the command center for how our bodies react to stress.
Exactly. When you encounter a stressor, a deadline, a traffic jam, anything like that, your HPA axis kicks into gear, releasing hormones like cortisol to help you cope.
So it's actually a good thing. It's supposed to help us deal with tough situations.
Exactly. The stress response is essential for survival. It helps us stay alert, focused, gives us energy when we need it most. But in today's world, a lot of us are stuck in a state of chronic stress.
Right.
Our HPA axis is always on high alert,
Uh-oh.
and that can have some serious consequences for our physical and mental health.
It's like having your car engine revving at high speed all the time.
Yes.
Even when you're just idling. Eventually, something's got to give.
Exactly. And that's where ashwagandha might be able to help. By regulating the HPA axis, it can help us regain control over our stress response, preventing it from going into overdrive, and, wreaking havoc on our bodies and minds.
This makes so much sense.
Mm.
How does this all connect to learning and expanding our knowledge?
Well, as we've discussed, chronic stress can have a negative impact on cognitive function. In a lot of ways, it can disrupt sleep, making it harder to focus and learn. It can increase inflammation, interfering with communication between brain cells. And it can even lead to brain fog and difficulty remembering things.
So by calming the HPA axis and bringing that stress response back into balance, ashwagandha might actually help us learn better and grow.
That's right.
Wow.
And there's research to support this. Several studies have shown that ashwagandha can improve memory, attention, and overall cognitive performance, especially in individuals who are experiencing stress or cognitive decline.
This is all so fascinating. It really shows how connected our physical and mental health are and how important it is to manage stress. Are there any other effects of ashwagandha on the HPA axis that we haven't talked about yet?
One interesting aspect is its potential impact on mood and emotional well-being.
Okay. Tell me more about that.
Textocolado mentions that ashwagandha may be able to help stabilize mood swings and, help people be more resilient emotionally. Now, this could be because of its effects on the HPA axis and how it promotes a balanced stress response.
That makes sense. When we're super stressed, it's harder to control our emotions, right?
Yeah.
We might be more irritable, more anxious, or prone to mood swings.
Exactly. And by calming that overactive stress response, ashwagandha may be able to help us regain a sense of emotional balance, making us less reactive to stressors and better able to deal with the ups and downs of life.
This deep dive has been incredible. I'm already thinking about all the potential benefits of ashwagandha for myself and for our listeners. But before we finish up, I want to talk about responsible use again.
Yes.
What are your final thoughts on that?
It's so important to remember that supplements aren't magic. Ashwagandha is no exception. While the research is promising, it's important to approach any new supplement carefully. And talk to your healthcare provider before adding it to your routine. They can help you decide if ashwagandha is right for you, check for any potential interactions with medications you're taking, and give you advice on the right dosage.
Great advice. It's always better to be safe and make informed decisions. Okay, so let's go over some of the key takeaways from our deep dive into Textocolado and the potential benefits of ashwagandha for mental well-being. So we started by talking about how ashwagandha is like this powerful adaptogen and how it can help our bodies manage stress better by regulating those cortisol levels. That got us to thinking about how it could reduce anxiety, help us sleep better, and even boost our mood by messing with those key neurotransmitters in the brain.
Right.
And then we talked about those with phenolides. Remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Those compounds in ashwagandha, they might be able to regenerate brain cells and reduce inflammation. It's pretty wild.
It is. Imagine the possibilities. Enhancing brain function, improving memory, sharpening focus. I mean, it's pretty exciting stuff.
It is.
And of course, we can't forget about burnout, which is a huge problem these days. Ashwagandha might be able to help with that too by regulating the HPA axis. That whole stress response system we talked about?
Exactly.
It might help us restore our energy, get our mental clarity back, and just feel better overall, get back to that sense of well-being that burnout kind of steals from you.
I think it's really interesting is how ashwagandha doesn't just cover up the symptoms,
Yeah.
It actually seems to work at a deeper level to bring our bodies back into balance.
I totally agree. It's like giving our bodies the tools to bounce back from anything.
And thrive.
But we do need to remember ashwagandha is a supplement, and while it has a lot of potential, it's important to be careful.
Oh, absolutely.
Do your research, talk to your doctor, and just pay attention to how your body feels.
Always a good idea. Okay, so before we wrap up, I want to leave you with something to think about. The article Textocolado, it mentions that ashwagandha can help balance the HPA axis. So here's my question for you. What does that really mean for, like,
Hmm.
your overall well-being? Think about it. How would a more balanced stress response impact your mood, your energy, even your ability to learn new things?
That's a great question. And as you learn more about ashwagandha, remember, knowledge is power. The more you know about how your body works and the things that can help you, the better decisions you can make for a healthier and happier you.
That's it for today's deep dive. Thanks for listening. Keep learning, keep exploring, and we'll see you next time. Ever feel like stress is just like totally hijacking your body?
Yeah,
Sleep's off, energy's dragging, and you're just out of whack.
for sure.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into ashwagandha.
Okay.
It's this herb that's been getting a ton of buzz lately.
It has, yeah.
And we're going to figure out if it lives up to the hype, especially for men and women.
Interesting.
We've got some research that suggests it might even boost testosterone and, get this, improve semen quality.
That's right. What makes ashwagandha so interesting is that it's an adaptogen.
Hmm.
You know how stress can make you feel completely wired and sleepless?
Yeah.
Ashwagandha basically helps your body handle those stress punches better.
Okay.
So you can actually get some decent shut-eye.
Okay, so it's like a chill pill for your whole system.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
for men, that chill-out effect can have a direct impact on testosterone levels.
Okay.
See, high cortisol, which is your stress hormone, can mess with testosterone production.
So less stress equals more testosterone.
You got it. And there's research to back this up.
Oh, really?
The Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition published a study showing that men who took ashwagandha supplements actually had a significant boost in their testosterone levels.
Okay, but what does that actually mean for guys in their everyday lives?
Wow.
Does it just mean more energy?
Well, higher testosterone is linked to a lot of things. Think muscle growth, libido, even better reproductive health. So for men hitting the gym, trying to stay fit as they age, or even thinking about starting a family, this could be a game changer.
So it's not just about feeling more energetic.
Not at all. Higher testosterone often means increased muscle mass and strength. If you're working out, ashwagandha might help those muscles recover faster and grow more efficiently.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So it's like ashwagandha is giving your body an extra edge in the gym.
It seems that way.
But what about fertility? You mentioned that earlier.
Ashwagandha has a long history of use in traditional medicine for male reproductive health. It's a powerful antioxidant, which means it can protect sperm cells from damage caused by all the environmental toxins and stress we face every day.
Wow, those little swimmers need all the help they can get these days.
Right, and some studies have shown pretty incredible results in men with infertility.
Really?
Taking ashwagandha actually improved their semen quality. We're talking sperm count and how well they move. That's huge for couples struggling to conceive.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
So we've got potential benefits for muscle growth, energy, and even fertility. But we can't forget about that whole stress busting effect. How does that factor into all of this, especially for men?
Remember how we said ashwagandha helps your body adapt to stress?
Yeah.
Well, when your cortisol levels are in check and those neurotransmitters are balanced, you actually think more clearly. For guys who are under constant pressure at work or in their personal lives, ashwagandha could be that mental edge they need to stay focused and perform their best.
It's like giving your brain a mini vacation from all the chaos of life.
Right.
But hold on, we've been focusing on the guys for a while now.
Yeah.
What about the benefits for women? Does ashwagandha have anything to offer them?
Absolutely. In fact, ashwagandha might be especially helpful for women going through hormonal shifts and challenges.
Interesting.
We'll dive into all of that after this.
All right, so we've heard how ashwagandha might be a game changer for men.
Yeah.
But what about us ladies?
Mm-hmm.
Does this herb have anything to offer women?
Oh, absolutely. Ashwagandha could be especially beneficial for women. Dealing with those roller coaster hormonal shifts and challenges
Oh, yeah.
that pop up throughout life.
Hormones are no joke.
Right.
What's the connection here with ashwagandha?
Think of it this way.
Yeah.
When stress levels are high and that cortisol is surging,
Yeah.
it can disrupt the balance of those key female hormones,
Okay.
like estrogen and progesterone.
So basically, stress throws our hormones out of whack.
Exactly. And that
Yeah.
can lead to a whole cascade of not so fun stuff. Irregular periods, crazy mood swings, trouble sleeping. The list goes on.
I've been there.
Yeah.
So is ashwagandha like a magic potion to rebalance those hormones?
It's not magic, but it can definitely help by bringing cortisol levels down. Ashwagandha can indirectly help regulate estrogen and progesterone,
Oh,
creating a more balanced hormonal environment.
okay, that makes sense.
Right.
And this could be especially helpful for women going through menopause.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As estrogen levels naturally decline during menopause,
Right.
it can trigger those infamous hot flashes, irritability, and insomnia.
Yeah, I've heard those hot flashes can be brutal.
Oh, yeah.
So could ashwagandha be a natural alternative to hormone replacement therapy?
It's not a direct replacement,
Okay.
but some studies suggest it might help manage those menopausal symptoms
Okay.
in a more natural way.
That's encouraging for women looking for gentler options.
Yeah.
But it sounds like ashwagandha might also be helpful for younger women dealing with hormonal issues too.
You're right. There's some evidence suggesting it could be beneficial for women with polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS.
Yeah.
PCOS often involves hormonal imbalances that can lead to irregular periods, acne, and even fertility challenges.
Wow. So ashwagandha could potentially help women at different stages of life. But let's talk about something that affects all of us, regardless of age or gender libido.
Okay.
Does ashwagandha have any impact there?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And the answer is it might.
Oh.
Remember how we talked about stress being a major libido killer?
Well, tell me about it.
Right.
When you're stressed, romance is the last thing on your mind.
Exactly. So by helping to reduce stress and improve blood flow,
Okay.
ashwagandha might indirectly boost libido for both men and women.
So it's not some magical aphrodisiac.
No, not quite,
Right.
but it's addressing the underlying issues that can zap your desire, especially for women dealing with stress, hormonal shifts, or even certain medical conditions.
That's a much more holistic approach than just popping a pill, right?
Exactly. It's about creating the right conditions for a healthy libido to thrive.
Right.
And beyond the physical, ashwagandha might also benefit cognitive and emotional well-being,
Yeah.
which are super important for a fulfilling sex life.
I love that perspective.
Mhm.
It's not just about the mechanics. It's about feeling good mentally and emotionally.
Right. And early research suggests that ashwagandha could even play a role in neurogenesis, which is basically the formation of new brain cells.
Okay.
This could have a huge impact on cognitive function, memory, and mental clarity,
Wow.
especially as we age.
Wait, so ashwagandha might actually help our brains grow new cells. That's incredible.
It's an area that needs more research, but the early findings are promising.
Hmm.
Think about all the challenges women face.
Oh, yeah.
The mental load of juggling work and family.
Yeah.
The hormonal changes everything.
Right.
Having that extra cognitive support could make a world of difference.
Absolutely. Feeling sharp and mentally energized can make those challenges feel so much more manageable.
For sure.
But hold on a second. We've been talking about men and women separately.
Okay.
Are there any benefits of ashwagandha that apply to everyone?
There are definitely benefits that everyone can enjoy.
Okay.
In fact, some of ashwagandha's most impressive perks are universal, like its potential impact on the immune system.
Okay. Immunity is a hot topic these days.
It is.
How does ashwagandha factor in?
Well, studies suggest ashwagandha might strengthen your immune system in a couple of ways.
Okay.
First, it seems to supercharge those immune cells,
Uh-huh.
making them better at fighting off invaders like viruses and bacteria.
So it's like ashwagandha gives your immune system a pep talk, go get 'em team.
Exactly. And secondly, ashwagandha is a powerful anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
By reducing inflammation throughout your body, it creates a more favorable environment for a healthy immune response.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Inflammation is at the root of so many health problems, so keeping it in check is crucial.
Absolutely. And a strong immune system is essential for everyone. It helps us fight off infections, bounce back faster when we do get sick, and maintain our overall vitality as we age.
So ashwagandha's got our backs when it comes to immunity. What else does it offer across the board?
Well, on top of bolstering your defenses,
Okay.
ashwagandha might also give you a natural energy boost.
Sign me up. Especially with the holidays coming up and everyone feeling a little drained.
Right.
How does it impact energy levels?
Remember how we talked about ashwagandha's stress-reducing powers?
Yeah.
Chronic stress is a major energy vampire. So by managing stress better, you naturally have more energy to spare.
So it's like ashwagandha helps us recharge our batteries by getting rid of those energy-sucking stressors?
Precisely.
Okay.
But it goes beyond just stress management. Some research suggests ashwagandha can actually boost ATP production.
Interesting.
That's the primary source of energy for all our cells.
Wow, so it's working at the cellular level to increase energy.
It is.
Cool.
And there's even some evidence that it might support mitochondrial function. Think of mitochondria as the tiny power plants in your cells
Right.
that keep your energy levels humming.
Okay, so ashwagandha is a multi-pronged energy booster. It tackles stress, supports ATP production, and might even give our mitochondria a tune-up.
It does seem that way.
But is there anything ashwagandha can't do?
Well, it's not a magical cure-all, but there is one more potential benefit worth mentioning,
Okay.
and it's relevant for both men and women: weight management.
Yeah, that's something everyone's interested in.
Right.
How does ashwagandha play a role in weight management?
Remember that link between stress and cortisol we talked about earlier?
Uh-huh.
Well, high cortisol can actually promote belly fat storage.
Oh, no.
And ashwagandha, by potentially lowering cortisol, might help reduce that stubborn abdominal fat.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not directly targeting fat cells or anything. It's more about addressing the hormonal imbalances that contribute to weight gain.
Exactly. And
Oh.
it's not just about fat storage.
Hmm.
High cortisol also triggers those stress-induced cravings.
Hmm.
That sent us running for the chips and cookies.
Oh, I know those cravings all too well. So by managing stress, ashwagandha can help us make healthier food choices too.
That's the idea.
Okay.
It's about creating a more balanced internal environment, both hormonally and emotionally,
Right.
which can then support healthy weight management.
Wow. This is a seriously impressive list of benefits for both men and women.
It is.
From immunity and energy to potential weight management support and even cognitive function. Ashwagandha seems like a powerhouse herb.
It truly is remarkable, and the most exciting part is that we're only just beginning to understand its full potential.
I agree. There's still so much to learn about ashwagandha and how it interacts with the complexities of our bodies.
Absolutely. But based on what we've explored today,
Yeah.
it seems clear that ashwagandha has a lot to offer everyone, no matter your gender. Who knows, maybe as we continue to unlock its secrets, we'll discover even more ways this ancient herb can enhance our health and well-being.
It's like ashwagandha is this hidden gem that's been used for centuries, and we're finally starting to catch on to its incredible power. But before we get too carried away with all the amazing possibilities, let's take a moment to recap everything we've learned today. We'll be right back after a quick break. Okay, so we covered a ton of ground in this deep dive into ashwagandha.
We have.
We've explored how it could potentially boost testosterone
Right.
and even improve semen quality for men.
Yeah.
For women, we talked about how it might smooth out those hormonal roller coasters, from easing menopause symptoms to possibly giving libido a little lift.
Right.
And for everyone, we discussed its potential to strengthen immunity, amp up energy levels, and maybe even help with weight management.
Yeah.
It's like ashwagandha is this all-natural Swiss Army knife for well-being.
It really does seem that way. And I think what stands out most is that so many of ashwagandha's benefits come back to its ability to help our bodies handle stress.
Right.
It's not just masking symptoms.
Yeah.
It's addressing a root cause of so many health issues.
That's such a crucial point. It's about working with our bodies, not against them, to create a more balanced and resilient state.
Exactly. And it raises a fascinating question.
Okay.
If reducing stress can have such a profound impact on so many different systems in the body, could ashwagandha actually contribute to a longer, healthier lifespan?
Now, that's a thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
We've explored how it might boost immunity, help our brains stay sharp, and even improve energy production at the cellular level.
Yeah.
It's almost like ashwagandha is giving our bodies the tools they need, not just to survive, but to truly thrive for years to come.
I think that's a great way to put it. And it's a powerful message to leave our listeners with.
Yeah.
While we always need more research to fully understand the complexities of this ancient herb,
Right.
the evidence we have so far suggests ashwagandha could be a valuable ally in our pursuit of optimal health and longevity.
Absolutely. And as always, we encourage you to do your own research, talk to your healthcare provider, and see if ashwagandha might be right for you. This deep dive has been a fascinating exploration into the world of ashwagandha, but your journey of discovery doesn't end here. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep taking charge of your well-being.
Okay, so lately, you've probably been hearing a ton about ashwagandha.
Yeah.
It's like everywhere all of a sudden, especially when people talk about managing stress.
Right.
But like, we all want to know the real deal, right?
Absolutely.
Not just the hype.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're going to do today with this article that you sent.
It's pretty interesting. It was originally in Portuguese,
Oh, wow.
which I think really shows how globally popular ashwagandha is getting.
Yeah.
But what really caught my eye with this article is that it really goes beyond just the basics.
Yes,
You
she
know,
does.
it really dives in.
I feel like everybody already knows that it's good for stress.
Right.
But in this deep dive, we're going to uncover like some surprising details.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, did you know that you can find ashwagandha at a compounding pharmacy?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know what a compounding pharmacy was until I read this article.
Well, that's a perfect example of how this article goes deeper.
Yeah.
Most articles would just say, like, health food store. But this one brings up compounding pharmacies.
Right.
Which is really cool because it means you can get personalized dosages.
Yeah.
And that's something to consider.
That is super cool.
Depending on, your needs.
It's way more tailored.
Yeah, exactly.
Than just grabbing a random bottle off the shelf.
Yeah.
It's like having a bespoke suit.
Yes.
For your stress management.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's say we found our ashwagandha.
Okay.
Now, how do we actually take this stuff?
Right.
Because this article lays out like a whole smorgasbord of options.
It really does.
It's amazing.
And I think that really speaks to the versatility of ashwagandha.
Yeah.
Because you can think about it, you can do capsules,
Right.
you can do powders, you can mix it into your smoothies in the morning, you can do liquid extracts,
Okay.
you can do the traditional teas.
Wow.
So many options.
So many choices.
Yeah.
It's like choose your own ashwagandha adventure.
Exactly.
I'm a smoothie person myself, so that powder option is sounding pretty tempting. But wait, does how you take it make a difference?
It can.
Okay.
The method you choose affects how quickly your body absorbs it.
Oh.
So capsules might be a little slower releasing,
Okay.
while a liquid extract might give you a faster effect.
Oh, okay.
So it depends on what you're looking for.
Makes sense. Okay, so that's super helpful to know.
Yeah.
Now, the article does mention specific amounts for capsules and for powders,
Okay.
but it also really stresses the importance of consulting with a healthcare professional before starting any new supplement,
Of course.
which is always good advice.
Absolutely. Always good advice.
And this is where things start to get really interesting.
Yes.
Because the line between what we consider natural and what we consider pharmaceutical
Yeah.
starts to blur a little.
Yeah.
Like, just because ashwagandha comes from a plant
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you can just take unlimited amounts, right?
Exactly. Dosage plays a huge role, not only in the effectiveness, but also the safety.
Right.
And that's why it's important to have some professional guidance,
Yeah.
especially with something that's as powerful as ashwagandha.
Okay, speaking of powerful, the article was very clear
Yes.
that ashwagandha is considered a natural supplement,
Right.
but it doesn't work like your typical over-the-counter remedy.
No, it doesn't.
Like, how does it work?
Well, their article goes into the science a little bit.
Okay.
It explains that ashwagandha contains these compounds
Okay.
called withanolides.
With phenolides.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
But basically, those with analides are like the key players
Okay.
in how ashwagandha interacts with your body.
So it's not just calming you down.
Right.
It's like working on multiple levels within your body.
Exactly. And that's what makes it an adaptogen.
Okay.
You've probably heard that term
I
before.
have heard that term before,
Yeah.
but honestly, I'm not entirely sure I know what it means.
Okay, well, think of it this way.
Okay.
Imagine you're training for a marathon.
Okay.
You're not just looking for a quick burst of energy.
Right.
You're building up resilience and endurance over time
Right.
to be able to handle that stress of the race.
Right. So instead of just masking the symptoms of stress,
Exactly.
adaptogens like ashwagandha are helping your body become more equipped to deal with stress in general.
Exactly. It's like giving your body the tools and the training it needs
Okay.
to navigate those stressful situations more effectively.
Got it.
And with vanillides seem to be a big part of how ashwagandha does that.
Wow. This is way more complex than I initially thought.
It is.
Yeah.
And we're just scratching the surface here.
Oh, yeah.
But before we go any further,
Okay.
I think it's really important to touch on this.
Okay.
Even though ashwagandha is natural,
Right.
it's still important to find a high-quality product.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
You want to make sure you're getting
Yeah.
the good stuff.
Yeah, the article mentioned looking for certifications from reputable agencies like Anvisa in Brazil
Yes.
or the FDA in the US.
Exactly. And that's really important for ensuring both quality and safety, especially since we're talking about something that's going to have such a powerful effect on our bodies.
Okay, so to sum things up so far,
Yes.
we've learned where to find ashwagandha.
Right.
We've uncovered a few different ways to take it.
Yes.
We also know it's crucial to find a good quality product and consult with a healthcare professional to figure out the right dosage.
Exactly.
Plus, we're starting to understand how ashwagandha actually works within the body.
Right.
And this whole adaptogen thing is pretty fascinating.
It is.
But there's clearly a lot more to unpack here.
There is.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to talk about.
I know there's so much more to unpack here.
So much.
It's so interesting.
Yeah. And speaking of dosage,
Yeah.
you mentioned that the article gives some specific recommendations, right?
Yeah, it does. For capsules, they suggest taking somewhere between 300 and 600 milligrams per capsule.
Okay.
And for the powder, it's about 1 to 2 teaspoons daily,
Okay.
which is roughly like 3 to 6 grams.
Dear cows.
But again, they really emphasize talking to your healthcare provider before starting.
Yes. I think that's so important
Yeah.
because it really highlights the personalized aspect
Yeah.
of using ashwagandha. You know, what works for one person
Right.
might be too much or too little for another
Oh,
person.
totally.
There's so many factors that could influence the optimal dosage.
Like your age, your overall health, even your specific goals for taking it in the first place.
Exactly.
It's not one size fits all. And it kind of goes back to what we were saying about it being a natural supplement.
Right. Just because it comes from a plant doesn't mean that you can take as much as you want.
Exactly. It's like anything, even something as simple as water,
Right.
can be harmful if you have too much of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to find that sweet spot.
Yeah. And that's where a healthcare professional can help.
Absolutely. They can help you navigate all those nuances and figure out what's right for you.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's interesting that we keep coming back to this idea of ashwagandha being a natural supplement.
Right.
The article was very clear about that classification, but it went on to explain how this plant actually works in the body.
Right.
And it's not as simple as I initially thought.
That's what I love about these deep dives.
Yeah.
We go beyond the surface level and we really get into the how and the why.
Absolutely. And the article breaks it down really well.
It does.
Remember those with amyloids we talked about earlier?
The key players in how ashwagandha does its thing.
Well, it turns out those with amyloids interact with a bunch of different systems in your body,
Okay.
including your endocrine system, which regulates your hormones,
Right.
and your immune system, which is your body's defense against illness.
Okay, hold on. So ashwagandha is like this multi-talented performer
Yes.
backstage, making sure all the systems are working smoothly.
I love that analogy.
Uh-huh.
That's great. And it really highlights the holistic approach of this plant.
Yeah.
It's not just targeting one specific symptom.
Right.
It's about supporting your body's overall ability to function well.
And when you think about it, that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Because stress affects us on so many levels.
Absolutely.
Not just mentally, but physically too.
Yeah.
So a solution that addresses those multiple levels
Right.
seems way more effective than just trying to mask the symptom.
100%. And this is where the concept of adaptogens
Yes.
comes back into play. Remember our marathon analogy?
Yes, about building resilience and endurance over time.
Exactly. Adaptogens like ashwagandha help your body adapt
Okay.
to various stressors, whether they're physical or emotional or even environmental.
Wow.
It's like giving your body the training it needs
Yeah.
to handle whatever life throws its way.
I'm starting to get the big picture.
Yeah.
Ashwagandha is like a superhero sidekick
Uh-huh. I like it.
for our bodies, helping us navigate all the challenges of modern life.
I love it. Yeah.
So we've talked about all these benefits,
We have?
but here's a question that popped into my mind while reading this article.
Okay.
If ashwagandha is this powerful,
Right.
why isn't it more widely prescribed by doctors?
That's a good question.
You know, like, why isn't it more mainstream in conventional medicine?
Well, I think that touches on a larger conversation
Yeah.
about how conventional medicine approaches health and wellness.
Okay.
You know, it tends to focus on treating specific diseases or symptoms, often with pharmaceutical interventions.
Okay.
And while those interventions can be incredibly effective,
Right.
especially in acute situations,
Yeah.
they might not always address the underlying causes of chronic issues,
Right.
like stress or anxiety.
So it's like putting a Band-Aid on a wound
Exactly.
without actually cleaning the cut first.
A perfect analogy.
And that's where natural approaches like ashwagandha come in.
Yeah.
They're going to help address that root cause.
Yes. Empower the body to heal and adapt more effectively.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that ashwagandha is a replacement for conventional medicine,
Oh,
right?
right. It's more about finding the right balance
Yeah.
and working with healthcare professionals who understand both approaches.
So having a whole toolbox
Ex-
of options and knowing when to use which tool.
Exactly. And as we continue to explore this ashwagandha research,
Yes.
I think we're going to uncover even more insights
Yeah.
into how this plant can play a valuable role in our overall well-being.
Okay, I'm ready for those insights.
Me too.
This is getting really exciting.
It is.
I feel like we're on the verge of some major aha moments here.
Yeah.
So we're talking about all these ways ashwagandha can benefit us.
Yeah.
And it's good to remember all the different ways you can actually take it.
Right.
It's not just about the dose.
It's also about finding a method that works for your lifestyle.
Right, because who wants to add another complicated thing
Exactly.
to their day,
Yeah.
you know? Some are definitely more convenient.
Oh, for sure. Like capsules are super easy.
Yeah.
Throw a couple in your bag and you're good to go.
It's like fast food ashwagandha.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Quick and easy.
And then you've got powders, which are a little more versatile. You
Yeah.
can mix those into smoothies.
Yeah.
Or yogurt.
Yeah.
You can even put them in soups if you want.
Okay, smoothie ashwagandha. I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
Like a sneaky way to get those good-for-you ingredients.
Exactly. And then there's liquid extracts,
Oh, yeah.
which tend to be more concentrated.
Okay.
You can do a couple drops in water or juice.
That's like the espresso shot
Uh-huh.
of ashwagandha.
Perfect.
And of course, if you like a more traditional approach, there's always tea.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tea is great.
Sipping a warm cup of ashwagandha tea before bed sounds amazing.
It does. It's like a warm hug for your nervous system.
Oh, love that.
And I think that image really captures what we've been talking about today.
It does.
Ashwagandha is not just a quick fix.
Right.
It's about nourishing your body and supporting that natural resilience to stress
Yeah.
and finding those moments of calm in our crazy world.
It's amazing how much we've learned
I know.
from just this one article.
Right.
We went from ashwagandha is good for stress.
Yeah. To understanding how it works, where to find it, how to take it, the big picture of what it means to use natural approaches to just manage our well-being.
Right. And I think the key takeaway
Yeah.
for listeners is that knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
The more we understand about this
Yeah.
or any natural supplement,
Right.
the better we are to make informed choices.
It's not just about memorizing facts.
Oh.
It's about giving you the tools and the information
Exactly.
to be an active participant in your own health journey.
100%.
And who knows, maybe ashwagandha is exactly what you've been looking for.
Maybe, or maybe it sparked some curiosity to explore other natural approaches.
Right.
Whatever you choose.
Yeah.
Just keep asking questions and keep discovering.
This deep dive was just the beginning.
It was.
There's a whole world of knowledge out there.
There is.
So keep that curiosity burning, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Deep Dives in For It.
All right, so we've got a really interesting one to deep dive into today.
Yeah.
We found this video all about ashwagandha. You know, this herb that's been getting a lot of buzz lately as like a super supplement kind of thing.
Right. It's like the new...
The cure for everything.
Yeah, it's the cure-all, you
like
know.
stress and hormones and everything else.
Right. But you always have to be kind of skeptical, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, how much of this is just hype?
So we wanted to like really break it down now. What is this stuff?
Yeah.
What does it actually do?
Yeah,
And is it worth all the hype?
totally.
So,
Well, the video talks about it being an adaptogenic herb, which is like a pretty interesting term.
right, like what does that even mean?
Yeah, so basically it means that it can supposedly help your body adapt to stress.
Okay, but how does that actually work?
Yeah, so it's not like magic or anything.
Right.
But studies are showing that it might actually affect your HPA axis.
Your what?
HPA axis.
Okay.
So that's basically the system in your body that controls your stress response. Oh,
Like how much cortisol you release and all that.
cortisol, right, the stress hormone.
Exactly.
So ashwagandha can like chill out your cortisol.
well, potentially, yeah.
Okay.
The idea is that it can help regulate it so you don't get those huge spikes when you're stressed.
So like instead of totally freaking out when work gets crazy, I'm just like,
Yeah, more zen, more balanced.
that's a dream, right?
It is a dream.
So is there like any evidence that this actually works?
Yeah, so there's actually some pretty interesting research out there on ashwagandha and stress.
Really?
Yeah, like some studies have shown that it can improve mental performance in people who are chronically stressed, like their reaction time and things like that.
Wow, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's promising.
I mean, it's not like it's going to turn you into Einstein, but
Yeah,
it could help you think a little clearer when things are hectic.
exactly.
And the video also mentioned something about ashwagandha being good for like both men and women.
Right, like it was almost advertising it as this like one-size-fits-all solution,
Yeah.
which, you know, we always have to be careful with those kinds of claims.
Yeah, it's never that simple, right?
Exactly.
So what did they say it was good for specifically?
Well, they mentioned things like hormonal balance
Okay.
and physical performance, and then like boosting testosterone in men.
Oh, wow. So it's like a testosterone booster too.
Well, that's what they're claiming.
Okay.
But, you know, it's important to remember that a lot of this stuff needs more research.
Right. Just because some video says it doesn't mean it's true.
Exactly.
So speaking of hormones, can you break that down a little bit? Like, what hormones are we even talking about here?
Sure. So when it comes to ashwagandha and hormones, the research is still kind of early,
Okay.
but there are some studies suggesting that it might affect things like cortisol.
Right, which we already talked about.
Yeah, and testosterone,
Oh.
and even thyroid hormones.
Thyroid hormone's interesting.
Yeah, so it's a pretty complex picture.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But it definitely warrants more investigation. Absolutely. So it's not like a guaranteed fix for any hormonal issues,
Right, it's not a magic bullet.
but it could potentially be helpful.
Yes, potentially.
And it's always important to talk to a doctor before starting any new supplement, especially if you have any health conditions.
Absolutely. Your doctor can help you figure out if it's right for you and what dosage is safe.
Right, because you don't want to mess around with your health.
Exactly.
One other thing that stuck out to me in the video was how much they emphasized the fact that ashwagandha is natural.
Right, like it was supposed to be this big selling point,
Yeah.
which, I mean, it is a plant-based supplement.
So is there anything to that, or is it just marketing?
Well, there is some history behind it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, ashwagandha has been used in Ayurveda for centuries.
Ayurveda.
It's a traditional Indian system of medicine.
Oh, wow. I've heard of that.
Yeah, so it's not just some new trendy thing.
Right. It's been around for a long time.
Exactly.
So it's got some street cred.
You could say that.
Okay, so let's recap here. What have we learned about ashwagandha?
Well, it's an adaptogen,
Right.
which means it could potentially help your body deal with stress.
By affecting certain hormones.
Right, like cortisol and maybe others.
Okay.
But the research is still ongoing, and we need more studies to confirm its effectiveness.
Got it. And most importantly, you should always talk to your doctor before taking it.
Exactly.
Don't just self-prescribe.
Definitely not.
And don't expect it to be a miracle cure.
Right, it's not a quick fix.
It's more about incorporating it into a healthy lifestyle.
Exactly, like along with things like good
Yes,
diet,
exercise.
stress management techniques.
Right. All that good stuff.
It's all connected.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, but this is really just scratching the surface.
Right, there's so much more to learn about ashwagandha.
Yeah. And we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
What questions do you have about ashwagandha?
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, because your questions could spark our next deep dive.
That's right.
So until then, stay curious.
And stay healthy.
We'll see you next time.